It was a colossal chemical processing plant, the kind that loomed like a steel skeleton against the Midwest sky. Located on the foggy banks of the Ohio River, the facility sprawled across hundreds of acres, pipes twisting like veins, massive storage tanks glowing under sodium lights, and smokestacks that never stopped belching thick, acrid plumes into the night air. That fateful night, the silence of the abandoned outskirts shattered. From deep within the plant's bowels came blood-curdling screams, human at first, then something far worse. They echoed through the empty corridors, rising into a chorus of pure agony. Then came the explosion, a deafening blast that lit up the horizon in orange fire, shaking the ground for miles. Moments later, a lone sedan exploded out of the main security gate, tires screeching as it fishtailed onto the cracked service road. Behind the wheel was 22-year-old Emily Harper. Her knuckles were white on the steering wheel, her once beautiful face drained of all color, eyes wide with the kind of terror that breaks a person forever. She drove like death itself was riding shotgun, swerving wildly, checking the rearview mirror every few seconds as if something invisible was gaining on her. With trembling hands, she fumbled for her phone on the passenger seat. She dialed the only person she still trusted. Her older brother Ryan answered on the second ring, voice thick with sleep. "Emily? Jesus, it's almost 2:30 in the morning. What's going on? Are you okay?" "Ryan, listen to me. Please, just listen. I don't have much time. They lied to all of us. The plant isn't making pesticides or fertilizers. It's something else, something horrible. They're using people. The workers. Me. They—" The line crackled violently. Static swallowed her words. "Emily? Em? You there? Hello?" In that exact moment, a grotesque, misshapen shadow lunged into the beam of her headlights. It wasn't human. Not anymore. Emily screamed and slammed the brakes. The car spun out of control, slammed sideways into a concrete barrier with bone-jarring force, and erupted into a roaring fireball. Black smoke billowed into the night sky as the wreckage burned. 5 years later. Ravencrest, Ohio, was once a proud Rust Belt town of about 28,000 souls. Nestled along the Ohio River, it had been the kind of place where factory whistles marked the rhythm of life. Generations worked at the massive evergreen chemical plant. Kids played Friday night football under the lights. Families gathered at the local diner for greasy burgers after church. The plant paid good wages, kept the schools funded, and made the town feel alive. Then, one ordinary Thursday night 5 years ago, Ravencrest simply died. The official story was straightforward: a catastrophic industrial accident at the Evergreen plant, a toxic gas leak combined with a massive explosion. Hundreds of workers were trapped inside. Some died in the blast, others were overcome by the poisonous cloud that rolled through the streets like thick fog. In the following weeks, more residents from the surrounding neighborhoods began to disappear without a trace. Pets, children, entire families. The government moved fast. The entire area was declared a federal Superfund toxic disaster zone and sealed off with razor wire, armed checkpoints, and no-fly restrictions. For public safety, they said. No journalists, no independent investigators, no questions. Ravencrest became America's own forbidden ghost town, a silent monument to whatever really happened that night. Back in Chicago, Ryan Harper still lived in the same small apartment he once shared with his little sister during her college breaks. Every evening when he came home from his dead-end IT job, his eyes went straight to the framed photo on the shelf. Emily smiling brightly at her high school graduation, full of dreams about becoming a chemist. He would stand there for long minutes, whispering the same words he'd repeated for 5 years. "No matter what the company or the feds say, Em,
I know you're still out there. I can feel it in my bones. One day, I'm coming for you." Tears always followed. Then he'd heat up another microwave dinner, eat in silence, and try to sleep. But sleep always brought the nightmare. He would find himself standing inside the ruined evergreen plant. The air was thick, greenish haze that burned his lungs. Strange chemicals dripped from ruptured pipes, hissing as they hit the floor. Twisted metal beams groaned overhead. The walls seemed to breathe. "What the hell is this place? I was just in bed." Then her voice, soft, broken, filled with unbearable pain, came from directly behind him. "Ryan, I'm right here, big brother." He turned slowly, and there she stood. But it wasn't the Emily he remembered. Her skin was blistered and peeling in places, revealing raw, discolored flesh. Her eyes were cloudy and sunken, yet somehow still aware, still pleading. "Emily, God, what did they do to you?" "I'm trapped, Ryan. They changed us. We're not dead, but we're not alive either. Please, you have to set us free. Set us free before it's too late." Every time, Ryan would jolt awake in his bed, gasping, heart hammering, sheets soaked with sweat. The same nightmare, night after night, for 5 straight years. One gray Chicago morning, before leaving for work, he opened his laptop and reread the cold corporate email he had saved. It was short and clinical. "Dear Mr. Harper, we regret to inform you that your sister, Emily Harper, perished in a workplace accident at our Ravencrest facility. Due to the extreme nature of the chemical release, no recoverable remains were found. The matter has been closed in coordination with federal authorities." Ryan stared at the screen until the words blurred. A sharp knock at the door startled him. It was his girlfriend, Lauren, a sharp-witted nurse who had stuck by him through the worst of his grief, and his best friend, Marcus, a former Marine who now worked construction and never backed down from a fight. "You look like you've seen a ghost again," Marcus said, clapping him on the shoulder. Lauren's face turned serious as they sat in the living room. "Last night I found something on YouTube before it got yanked. The title was Ravencrest Chemical Experiment Exposed, The Truth They Don't Want You to Know. The uploader claimed the evergreen plant wasn't just a chemical factory, it was a secret black site lab. The corporation, with full government knowledge, was running illegal human trials on a new bioweapon, something designed to create enhanced soldiers, obedient, nearly indestructible. They tested it on the workers first, then on others. The people didn't just die, they were transformed into something else. Not alive, not dead, hungry." The room fell into heavy silence. Marcus leaned forward. "The video got millions of views in hours, then poof, deleted. Channel gone, uploader never heard from again. Smells like a cover-up bigger than MK Ultra." Ryan's voice was quiet but steady. "I've been having the same nightmare every night for 5 years. Emily appears, burned, changed, and she begs me to set them free." Lauren looked at both men, eyes fierce. "Then we go find out the truth ourselves. We drive down there." Marcus hesitated. "That zone is sealed tighter than Area 51. Toxic, restricted. People who get too close disappear. Drones get shot down. It's suicide." Ryan stared at Emily's photo again. "I've waited 5 years doing nothing. If there's even a 1% chance she's still suffering there, I'm going. You don't have to come." But they did. The next morning, the 3 of them loaded Ryan's old SUV with flashlights, bolt cutters, respirators, a couple of handguns Marcus insisted on bringing, and an old paper map Ryan had obsessively studied. They drove south out of Chicago, through endless cornfields and decaying small towns, the highway gradually giving way to cracked back roads. Hours later, as the sun began to set, they pulled off onto an overgrown service trail deep in the woods, several miles from the official checkpoints. From here, they would go on foot. The forest was unnaturally quiet. No birds, no insects, just a cold, damp wind that carried a faint chemical tang. They hiked for hours, using headlamps as darkness fell. Finally, the trees thinned, and Ravencrest lay before them like a corpse. Houses stood with front doors still open. Children's bicycles lay rusting in yards. Laundry hung on lines, now tattered rags. Inside one home they entered cautiously. The dinner table was still set, plates with long rotted food, forks mid-bite. A child's drawing on the fridge showed a happy family in front of the big factory. The stench of decay and something sharper, chemical rot. The stench of decay and something sharper, chemical rot hung heavy in the air. "Jesus Christ," Marcus whispered. "It's like the whole town just stopped existing 1 second." They moved deeper into the silent streets. Then they heard it for the first time. A low, wet moan. Not quite human, not quite animal. It came from inside a nearby house. They froze. A door burst open with violent force. 2 glowing, blood-red eyes appeared in the blackness. The creature that stepped into the moonlight was the stuff of nightmares. Its flesh hung in ragged strips. Blood leaked steadily from its eyes and mouth. It moved with a jerky, unnatural gait, head twitching at impossible angles. Lauren barely had time to whisper, "That's no longer human." It lunged with horrifying speed, tackling her to the ground and sinking rotten teeth deep into her neck. Her scream tore through the night. Ryan and Marcus fought desperately to pull the monster off, but it possessed inhuman strength. With one violent swing, it hurled them both across the room like dolls. Lauren's screams gurgled into silence as blood pooled beneath her. "She's gone," Marcus said, voice cracking. "Ryan, we run, now!" They bolted out the back door just as more unearthly howls began rising across the entire town. Dozens, then hundreds. The creatures were waking up. "They're everywhere!" Ryan shouted as they sprinted through overgrown streets. "Head for the plant. It's our only chance to barricade or find answers." The horde closed in from every alley and broken window. Shambling figures with torn flesh and glowing eyes poured into the streets behind them. Gasping for breath, they finally reached the chain-link fence surrounding the massive evergreen chemical plant. They cut through and slipped inside the ruined facility. Inside was a vision of hell. Charred bodies lay piled in corridors, workers who never made it out during the explosion. The air reeked of burnt flesh and toxic residue. Ruptured pipes still dripped strange, glowing fluids. But then, the bodies began to move. Fingers twitched, necks snapped upright with sickening cracks. Burned, blackened figures rose slowly, eyes opening to reveal the same hungry red glow. "They're all infected," Ryan realized, horror dawning. That YouTuber was telling the truth. This place was never just making chemicals. A familiar voice suddenly cut through the growing moans. "Ryan, over here, quickly, before they reach you." It was Emily's voice, clear, urgent, alive. They ran toward it, dodging grasping hands, and found her waiting in a dimly lit side chamber deeper inside the plant. Ryan stopped dead when he saw her. She looked exactly like in his nightmares, skin blistered and peeling, eyes cloudy, yet still filled with fragments of her old self. Tears of dark, oily fluid ran down her cheeks. "Emily, oh my God." "I'm not your sister anymore, Ryan. Not fully. The chemical, they called it Project Rebirth, is in my blood now. It replaced everything. I'm one of the toxic. I've been fighting the hunger for 5 years, holding on to the last pieces of myself, waiting for you." She told them everything in a trembling, pain-filled voice, while distant howls grew louder. The evergreen plant was never ordinary. Under the guise of producing agricultural chemicals, a powerful defense contractor, working hand in hand with shadowy government agencies, ran illegal bioweapon trials. Inspired by old Cold War programs like MK Ultra, they wanted to create the perfect soldier, strong, tireless, obedient, and almost impossible to kill. They started with willing or coerced employees. Then they moved to unwilling test subjects, some brought in secretly, others just the local workforce. Emily had been transferred there for a special research assignment after graduating. She discovered the truth too late. The formula worked. Too well. The infected turned violent. They attacked the scientists. The infection spread like wildfire through the plant and then the town. In full panic, the government triggered the massive explosion to contain the outbreak, then sealed the entire area and fed the public the accidental gas leak lie. Emily had tried to escape that night. She stole a car and called Ryan, but one of the creatures smashed into her vehicle. She crashed and was bitten. The change began almost immediately. "There's only one way to end this nightmare for all of us," she said, her voice growing weaker. "In the deepest sub-basement, the project director, Dr. Elias Voss, is still there. He's different from the others, smarter. He retained his mind, mostly. He's been feeding on anyone foolish enough to enter the zone for years. Down there with him is the original containment canister holding the counteragent gas. If you release it inside the plant's ventilation system, it will neutralize every toxic in Ravencrest, including me." Ryan's eyes filled with tears. "I can't lose you twice." "You lost me the night of the explosion," she whispered. "Please, Ryan, finish what they started. Set us free." Marcus gripped Ryan's shoulder. "We don't have much time. They're coming." The two men descended into the pitch-black sublevels, flashlights cutting through thick, toxic mist. The deeper they went, the stronger the chemical stench became. In the lowest chamber, illuminated by flickering emergency lights, sat Dr. Elias Voss, once a brilliant scientist, now a grotesque parody of a man. His eyes burned with cold, calculating intelligence. A twisted, knowing smile stretched across his rotting face. "Ah, fresh visitors. The government sealed the highways and posted guards years ago. I haven't tasted warm, living blood in so long." Voss moved with terrifying speed. He grabbed Marcus before either man could react, sinking his teeth into his throat. Marcus fired his gun wildly, but the bullets barely slowed the creature. As Marcus collapsed, gurgling, Ryan lunged for the large, heavy containment canister on the central table. Voss roared and charged. Ryan ran for his life, clutching the canister, sprinting up emergency stairs as the doctor's howls echoed behind him. He burst back out onto the main plant grounds, the entire area now swarming with toxic. Among them, he saw Lauren and Marcus, now fully turned, shambling towards him with dead, hungry eyes. Emily appeared one final time at the entrance of the main building, her form flickering in the firelight from distant burning debris. "Don't hesitate, big brother. Don't let emotion stop you. This is the only way to end the suffering." With shaking hands and tears streaming down his face, Ryan raised the canister high and smashed it on the cracked concrete at the center of the facility. The explosion was cataclysmic. A thick black neutralizing gas erupted outward in a roaring cloud, spreading rapidly through the plant's vents and across the ruined town. One by one, the toxic began convulsing violently. Their bodies ignited from within with unnatural blue-white flames. Screams, some almost human, filled the night as Ravencrest burned. Ryan stood alone, watching the inferno consume the town that had claimed his sister, his friends, and thousands of innocent lives. As he turned to walk back into the dark woods, the only survivor, he could have sworn he heard Emily's voice one last time, soft, peaceful, finally at rest, carried on the wind. "Thank you, Ryan." He never looked back.
It was 2:07 a.m. on a rainy October night in the quiet suburbs of Portland, Oregon. The kind of night where the trees kept dripping long after the storm had passed, like they were whispering secrets no one should hear. Sarah Carter's eyes flew open in the master bedroom of their two-story colonial home. Her heart was already hammering before her mind caught up with the sound. Knock, knock, knock. It came from the French doors leading out to the second-floor balcony. Slow, deliberate, patient. Sarah sat up, her silk pajama top clinging to her skin was cold sweat. Michael, her husband of 14 years, wasn't beside her. He hadn't been for 3 weeks now, not since the night he parked their black Escalade in the driveway, pressed the barrel of his hunting rifle against his temple, and ended everything. The police called it suicide. The neighbors still whispered about it. Sarah called it the moment her world went dark. Knock, knock. She grabbed her phone, 2:07 a.m., and walked toward the doors on bare feet. When she slid the glass open, the balcony was empty, just wet wooden planks, covered patio furniture, and the faint glow of distant streetlights. No footprints, no one. She stepped outside anyway, gripping the railing, eyes scanning the yard below. That's when her gaze locked on to the black Escalade parked exactly where Michael had died. The driver's door was closed. The interior light was off. But something about the way the moonlight slid across the windshield made her unable to look away. Her phone vibrated in her hand. A text from Michael's number. "Come down to the car. I'm waiting." Sarah's breath caught in her throat. She typed back with trembling fingers. "Who the hell is this? What kind of sick joke is this?" No answer. She hit call. It rang once, then dropped into a low, crackling static, like someone breathing through an old, broken radio. She tried again. Same sound. Without thinking, without even slipping shoes, Sarah ran downstairs, through the dark kitchen, and out the front door. The cold gravel bit into her bare feet as she crossed the driveway. She yanked open the driver's door of the Escalade. Empty. No one in the front seats, no one in the back, just the faint scent of Michael's cologne, mixed with gun oil still clinging to the leather. She leaned further in, peering across the dashboard, when a pale face suddenly appeared in the reflection of the passenger window, staring straight at her from behind. She spun around. It wasn't Michael. It was Mr. Harlan, their longtime groundskeeper and caretaker, standing a few yards away in his old flannel jacket, flashlight pointed politely to the ground. "Mrs. Carter? Ma'am? What are you doing out here at this hour?" Sarah's voice came out shaky. I thought someone was in the car. I got a text." Mr. Harlan's weathered face softened with that same gentle, pitying look he'd worn at Michael's funeral. "Ain't nobody out here but me doing my night rounds, ma'am. Been walking the property since midnight. Would have seen anyone." "You been having those bad dreams again? Sleepwalking, maybe?" Sarah headed her Ned, but the lie felt heavy on her tongue. "No, it was for Michael's number." Mr. Harlan sighed softly. "Ma'am, that line was canceled weeks ago. Probably just a glitch or one of those spam things. You need to get back inside. It's cold out here, and you haven't been sleeping right since it happened." Sarah nodded numbly and let him walk her back to the porch. But the moment his truck lights disappeared down the lane, she ran straight back to the Escalade. She climbed into the driver's seat, popped open the center console, and pulled out Michael's old phone, the one the police had returned after the investigation. There was still a little battery left. She opened his messages. Nothing. No text sent to her tonight. She checked the call log. Empty. Desperate, she started scrolling through his photos, old pictures of them hiking in the Columbia Gorge, their wedding day, their daughter's first birthday. Then, a woman she had never seen before. Dozens of photos, all of the same brunette in her mid-30s, pretty, quiet, with kind eyes. Some shots were taken inside the city central library, some at a coffee shop.
One was taken from the street at night, the woman standing near their mailbox, smiling like she belonged there. Her stomach twisted violently. The woman's name tag was visible in one close-up. Mia Reynolds, receptionist. "Who the hell are you?" Sarah whispered. She slammed the console shut and noticed the rifle case still lying inside, the same hunting rifle Michael had used. She looked away quickly. The next afternoon, Sarah drove straight to the city central library. The old brick building smelled of dust and old paper. Closing time was approaching. She found Mia Reynolds at the front desk, stamping returns. "Excuse me," Sarah said, her voice cold but controlled. "Do you know Michael Carter?" Mia looked up. Her polite smile faded the second she saw Sarah's face. I'm so sorry for your loss. I read about it. I didn't know." "Save it," Sarah interrupted, pulling out her phone and showing the photos. "These were on my husband's phone. Do you want to explain why my dead husband had dozens of pictures of you?" Mia's face went pale. She glanced around to make sure no one could hear. "Look, it wasn't what you think. We flirted a little when he came in for books, just harmless stuff. Then one night he asked me out for a drink after closing. I said yes. We ended up back at your house. We talked, had a couple of drinks. He kissed me, I kissed him back, but then things got weird." "Weird how?" "He started choking me. Not too hard at first, but enough that I told him to stop. He looked like he was somewhere else, kept muttering, 'It's not working. I can't stop it now. I have to end it now.' I panicked. He snapped out of it, apologized over and over, drove me home, and said it was all his fault, that he finally knew what he had to do. I thought he meant ending things with me. I never imagined." Mia's voice broke. "I swear that's all it was. I never saw him after that night." Sarah stared at her for a long moment. Then she said the words that surprised even herself. "Get in the car. You're coming with me." Mia hesitated. "Ma'am, I have to close the library. Now, or I start screaming right here about how you were with my husband. Your choice." 20 minutes later, they were in the Escalade, heading west out of the city. Sarah handed Mia the folded suicide note the police had given her. "Read it," she said quietly. Mia unfolded the paper. Michael's handwriting was shaky. "There is someone in that room, but he won't come for you." Mia frowned. "I don't understand." Sarah kept her eyes on the winding road. 4 years ago, I was in a terrible car accident on the I-5. My heart stopped for 13 minutes. I was clinically dead. When they brought me back, everyone asked what I saw. I told them I was standing at the doorway of a completely dark room. That's all, just darkness. Michael never believed me. He was convinced something was waiting inside that room. He said if I had really crossed the threshold, I would have seen it too. We argued about it for years. Then he started acting strange, reading odd books, staying out late, and now he's gone. She told Mia everything, the nightmares that started after the accident, the whispering voices, the constant feeling that something had been following her ever since that day on the operating table. Mia listened in silence, growing paler with every mile. "I've been having strange dreams too," Mia admitted finally. "Ever since that night at your house, I see a dark room and something inside it watching me. I thought it was guilt, but your house felt wrong that night, like someone or something else was there with us." Sarah's grip tightened on the steering wheel. "There's an old bridge up ahead. Michael took you across it, didn't he?" "Yes, to some cabin in the woods, but it wasn't burned back then." Sarah turned onto the narrow forest service road. The trees closed in like silent watchers. A few minutes later, they stopped in front of the charred ruins of a cabin that looked eerily like their own home. Same colonial style, same porch, same balcony, but everything felt reversed, like a mirror image flipped inside out. Half the structure had been destroyed years ago. They stepped inside. The air smelled of wet ash and old blood. In the center of what would have been the living room, a crude wooden doll hung from a rope tied to a roof beam. It was painted red blood, with button eyes and a stitched smile. It swayed gently, though there was no wind. "This house, it's our house, but backwards," Sarah whispered. Mia pointed at the hanging doll. "I've read about these things in old occult books. People build a mirror image house, sacrifice someone who looks similar to the person they want to protect, and hang a puppet to confuse death itself. It's supposed to trick the Reaper." Sarah's feel the floor tilt beneath her. She remembered the book Michael had been obsessed with, the one he never returned to the library, Rights to Mislead the Reaper. She found it in his study the night before, bookmarked at Chapter 7, Confounding the Threshold. They didn't stay long in the ruins. On the drive back across the bridge, Sarah dropped Mia off at her apartment with a promise to return the overdue book later.
On the drive back across the bridge, Sarah dropped Mia off at her apartment with a promise to return the overdue book later. Mr. Harlan was waiting near the main gate when Sarah pulled up to the house. "Mrs. Carter, you went into those woods again. That place isn't safe. Old mine shafts, wild animals, God knows what else." Sarah forced a small smile. "I'm fine, Mr. Harlan, really." She went straight to Michael's study and tore through the shelves until she found the book. Rights to Mislead the Reaper, Chapter 7, The Mirror House. The text described exactly what she had seen. Build the inverted home, choose a victim of similar age and appearance, bury the body beneath the floor, and hang the red poppet to draw the entity away. Later that night, she confronted Mr. Harlan in the driveway. "You knew," she said quietly. "You saw Michael take a woman out there 5 or 6 months ago. It wasn't Mia. Who was she?" Mr. Harlan looked suddenly very old under the porch light. "Some girl who looked a lot like you, ma'am. Same height, same hair color. Michael said he was doing it to save you, that whatever had been following you since the accident wouldn't stop until it got what it came for. He begged me not to tell you, said everything he was doing was for you." Sarah drove back to the burned cabin alone that same night. The red doll still hung there. She found the hidden trap door in the floorboards, pried it open, and the stench hit her like a physical blow. Below, in the dirt, lay the decomposed body of the woman from Michael's phone, the one who wasn't Mia, the sacrifice. Her phone rang, Michael's number. She answered with a trembling hand. "Sarah," the voice said, calm, loving, exactly like Michael. "Come to the car. I'll explain everything." She ran. Back inside the Escalade, doors locked, she clutched the phone. "Michael, what did you do?" "I tried to save you from the thing in that room, the one you saw 4 years ago when your heart stopped. You walked away from the threshold. Death doesn't like being cheated. It came for you. I built the mirror house. I found the girl who looked like you. I gave it a substitute. Then I gave it myself. I thought if I took my own life, it would finally leave you alone." Tears poured down Sarah's face. "But it didn't work." "No," the voice said, and now it no longer sounded quite like Michael. "It didn't, because the only thing that'll satisfy it is you. Come on, Sarah, end it. Put the rifle to your head like I did. It'll be quick, then it's over. No more running, no more guilt. Your husband died for nothing if you keep fighting. Just let go." The voice grew softer, almost seductive. "There is someone in that room, but he won't come for you if you come to him first." Sarah's hand moved slowly toward the rifle case. Her fingers brushed the cold metal. Then she stopped. She thought of Michael's face the night before he died, the look of a man who had already said goodbye, but loved her enough to burn the world down to protect her. She thought of every laugh, every fight, every promise they had made. She thought of the old Savitri stories her grandmother used to tell, about love that dared to fight death itself. "No," she said clearly. The voice hissed. "What?" "I said no. Death may be everyone's final stop, but it doesn't get to decide my destiny. Michael didn't die because it was his time. He died because he chose to fight for me. I'm not throwing his sacrifice away. I will live every single day I'm given, guilt and all, until the real end comes, and when it does, I'll meet it standing on my feet, not like this." The phone went dead. The interior light flickered once and went out. Sarah opened the console, took out the suicide note, and stepped out of the Escalade. Mr. Harlan was running up the driveway, flashlight swinging wildly. "Mrs. Carter, are you all right? I saw the lights in the car and—" Sarah smiled, small, tired, but real for the first time in weeks. "I'm okay, Mr. Harlan. I'm really okay now. Thank you." She walked back into the house, closed the door gently behind her, and left the red poppet, the mirror cabin, and the voice in the darkness where they belonged. Outside, the rain began again, soft, steady, washing the driveway clean. And somewhere far away, in a room with no doors and no light, something waited. But it would have to wait a little longer, because Sarah Carter had decided she wasn't finished yet.